Good evening. This is Tim Markle with the Transition Talks Tuesdays, and we are just efforting the beginning. We've had some technical difficulties. We have Nickie and Tiara here from the Eagle County Aging Disability Resource Centers, specifically out of Juneau County. And so, Nickie, go ahead and we'll just deal with this however we can.
Okay, very good. So I'm Nickie Preuss with I'm an Information and Assistance Specialist with the Aging and Disability Resource Center of Eagle Country. So my role as an Information and Assistance Specialist is to help learn about individuals' needs and help to connect them with resources, services, or agencies that can help to meet those needs. And that ranges from, we start usually working with people at 17 years and 6 months on up until there's no end in age after that. So once you reach that age, then you would meet our age population, I guess. So I was talking about our different benefit specialists that we have. So we have the Information and Assistance Specialist. And then we also have our Dementia Care Specialist, and she helps to look at and works with people that have dementia or Alzheimer's and their families to look at what their specific needs are and help them to learn more about the disease and how they can best approach those diseases. And she also works to educate the community about those diseases and how community agencies can help better work with individuals with Alzheimer's or dementia. We have an elder benefit specialist, and she helps the population of 60 and older to look at Social Security needs and needs for insurance, retirement issues, things like that, and transitioning when you're at that age and what that transition process looks like. And then we have a disability benefit specialist, and that is Tiara, and Tiara can tell you about herself.
Can everyone hear me okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, perfect. So my name is Tiara. I work alongside Nickie. I am the disability benefit specialist within the Juneau County servicing Eagle Country. I specifically work with individuals who are 17 and a half to 59 years of age, mostly setting them up for benefits through Social Security, disability. I also do reviews for them when they come time, food share applications, Medicaid, things like that. And then I'm going to hop right into our mission statement here. The Aging and Disability Resource Center of Eagle Country is dedicated to working with adults and families who are affected by aging, disability, mental health, or substance abuse issues by providing information and access to services to enhance their quality of life. Although we don't specifically counsel on mental health or substance abuse issues, we do refer those services on for individuals that are seeking those plans of action through human services.
So helping students with disabilities get ready for life after high school, the transition into what will come after school. That might be some employment options, might be integrated employment, it might be vocational employment, it could be post-secondary schooling, could be reaching out for publicly funded long-term care programming. That transition is specific to the individual and will look different for each person that kind of transitions, because it is based on identifying the student's interests, talents, passions, to pursue what they want to do after leaving high school, whether that be looking at maybe staying at home and looking at a vocational setting might be appropriate. Maybe living at home and looking at a job at Pizza Hut because they've always wanted to make pizzas. It might be transitioning, working with DVR and then working in an office setting, or it might be going to a vocational school or working on, post-secondary schooling to get education and training for those employment. So everybody's is kind of different, and it's important for the student to work at looking at what their interests are, their talents are, and what they see themselves doing. Parents also have a role in helping them to look at and identify what their talents and passions are, what they're really good at, what their interests might be, helping to work on, the IEP and addressing, what are those important things they need to continue to work on while they're in school until they graduate, to make sure that they're doing the best they can when they do in fact graduate. Just working on achieving post-secondary school goals, collaborating and communicating. So it's all part of that transition for those students.
So some of the things that the ADRC can offer you is unbiased information and assistance on a wide range of topics. And we also offer assistance to folks with disabilities, regardless of their income. The ADRC is a place for a multitude of people to call when they're having questions related to youth in transitions who have that disability. And then if, you contact me or reach out and we have an appointment scheduled, it's really your choice on how we meet, whether that's over the phone, in person, coming to your home, whatever really is a benefit to you and easiest for you. Although I will say, if we are doing the disability application, it's more of a benefit for me to see you and see how that disability affects the individual, because then I can advocate for you on your behalf and be able to write a letter and say, this is what happened during my meeting. Said person got up and repositioned 5 times, or was having pain, was unsteady in their walking, things like that, that I can physically see. Sometimes over the phone, I can't see that. And so for that piece, it's really hard for me to advocate what I can't see. So in that circumstance, I would say that it benefits me to see you in person. And I know there's things that Nickie has to do, like functional screens, I believe have to be in person. Is that right, Nickie?
Yes. Yep.
So there are things that are a benefit to seeing you in person rather than over the phone, but we do make those accommodations when looking at disabilities and things.
So making the transition, there will be a day that the bus that's shown up for the last 18, 19, 20, 21 years is not going to come. And so what now? Where do you go from there? I think if you click one more time, Tim, it tells you that we can help. So we, in this process, you will work with the schools, obviously in looking at what's going to come after that. But we can help sit down and look at those options as well, looking at what if school is not an option, or not the option that the student is looking at. what are those other options? Who are those community resources? What are those programs or services that can help our child grow? So we can help look at what those options are. We can collaborate with the schools and other resource agencies to help the student and parents prepare for eligibility requirements or how to access public or private support services. We can provide options counseling relating to a variety of services, including long-term care support programs. We can help the student to learn about employment, long-term care or living options after they turn 18 and or leave high school. It may be staying with a parent. It may be transitioning to another type of living arrangement. It might be a supportive apartment or living on their own. What will that look like? We just present information, share training events, and communicate with students about parents, educators, and school administrators about the whole transition process, and help to determine eligibility and enroll for students that are 17 years and 6 months for publicly funded benefits such as family care and IRIS. So key players in the transition, there's lots of them. This is just some, everybody's transition might look different because everybody's, gonna look at different options and have different goals. No student ever leaves high school with the same exact goal as the person next to them. So everybody's transition is different. But when looking at those students that potentially have a disability, they may need more support. And so there may be additional transition options and key players like the ADRC or DVR, which is the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. A social worker might be involved, or the Social Security Administration. There might be paraprofessionals or a transition coordinator. There might be that the student is in foster care or looking at an independent living services, or again, that the list is kind of endless as to what each individual student and who the key players are and how they may help the individual.
So here's a nice visual on transitioning to life after high school. Again, like Nickie said, it's not going to look the same for everyone, and their paths may be different. So on the far left-hand side, it starts with a student, and everyone has dreams and goals of what they want for themselves. And how do they get there? They don't get there alone. There's parents or guardians involved, teachers, coaches, community support persons. They're not alone in, going through that journey. And so being active in their life and knowing what their dreams and goals are and helping them along the way. After that, they turn 18 or 17 and a half, gearing up for 18, and they call Social Security and the ADRC. And a lot of times Social Security will refer to us, at least our main office that we work with. We work with the Rapids office mainly, and they're very good about referring to us or just letting you guys know, hey, yes, call us when you're 18, but the ADRC really is there to help you, and are very informative. And so we have a good working relationship with Social Security, and we do get a lot of referrals from them. Also, when working with Social Security, in providing that disability insurance for people, or SSI, or also medical assistance. But a lot of times when dealing with that medical assistance, they're going to refer you on to us to call Capital Consortium to help you set that up. Also, again, dealing with us and we'll be able to provide information and assistance about services and resources that we provide that you could qualify for potentially. And then there's paths that they can take, whether that be DVR. DVR is a federal and state program designed to assist individuals with disabilities to obtain or maintain employment. And so you would really utilize them to, take a test to find out what your strengths are, what you're really good at, and what you like to do, and really hone in on that, and potentially find a job that or a job coach that would help you obtain that job. They do other things, but mainly, focusing on those skills that you want to enhance to get that employment. There's other paths that someone can take, whether that be education or independent living options. Like Nickie said in the prior slide, there are, technical college staff on to help as well if you're wanting to transition to a tech school after high school. And then also looking at those independent living options if you're not wanting to stay at home, or that's not an option. There also is, when working with DVR, on the Department of Workforce Development's website, there is a referral form if you are wanting to look at DVR, and anybody can fill that out. It's very self-explanatory, and then somebody would be in contact with you if that's the route you wanted to take.
So some important things that happen at age 18. They resolve the issue of guardianship or related alternatives. Once you turn 18, whether you have a disability or not, you take on all of the same responsibilities as an individual that with a disability or without a disability. So things like the ability to vote in national, state, or local elections, like today, people are voting all over for the spring elections. That's something that all students or all people at age 18 would be able to do unless those guardianship issues are resolved. So you're able to create a will, marry without the consent of your parents, obtain your own medical records, and figure out what treatment options you want. That's nothing that your parents would have to give consent for any further. You can apply for a credit card. You can serve in the Army. You can, at age 18, you start supporting yourself because your parents are no longer obligated to continue to support you. And you are able to sign contracts and other legal documents. So there are lots of rights and responsibilities that come with turning 18, and that's for anyone, unless there are means or things that are set into place that changes those rules. And we'll talk about, I think the next slide actually talks about guardianship and stuff. So applying for disability, a disability determination, SSDI, SSI, Medicaid, so that those are things that are also important to do as someone approaches turning 18. Tiara does help with those disability applications. And again, there's another slide coming up that kind of talks about that stuff. And then the last thing, getting personalized information directly from the ADRC. We've kind of talked about how everybody's individualized, and this process is individualized for each person that's going to go through it. Our office, our information and assistance specialists can sit down and have that options counseling where we look at what the goals are, talents, desires are, and then how is that going to be achieved? What are what are resources, services, steps that can be taken either with our help, or that the student themselves can do, or maybe the parent can help do. What are those steps that are going to help to meet those needs and achieve those goals? And so we kind of help to look at what are the options. How can you make a good decision if you don't know what all your options are? So we help to kind of look at what those might be, and they could be living options. There's dozens of options as how a person can live. It could be support service options because they need assistance with some of their personal needs. And it could be employment options, whether that be vocational setting, whether that be integrated employment, or maybe they just work for a family friend or work on a local farm, or volunteer instead of getting a paid position. So looking at what those options are, those are the kinds of things that we would look at and help to hopefully help answer the unknowns for the student, for parents as they kind of go through this.
So guardianship can take a while to establish. Once you're going to want to start that prior to 18, if they are needing that. Parents need to resolve the issue of guardianship and or related alternatives. Guardianship is a legal power to care for another person or manage their affairs. When that student turns 18, parents no longer automatically have the right or the legal authority to exercise those affairs for them, whether that be medical care, financial, personal needs, or safety. And that's really left up to them when they turn 18, unless, of course, they are not competent to do that on their own. And that's where guardianship would come into play. It is a legal process, and it does take several months to start. And if you come to us and you haven't had that set up, we will do a referral to Adult Protective Services. And they really assist in getting that guardianship set up and started. Less restrictive options or alternatives when guardianship isn't needed. For example, power of attorney for healthcare or financial. There's representative payees. So if you're working with me and we have done that disability application online and they're approved for benefits, Social Security will look into whether or not someone can manage finances on their own, or if they need assistance to do that. And if they're needing assistance to do that, then they will place a representative payee in place for that individual to have their funds managed by somebody. There's also dual signature accounts. It's just another safety net, I like to say, for that individual needing that double signature before the checks are sent through. There's also conservatorships. The difference between guardianship and conservatorships is that the individual is competent to make their own decisions, and they can appoint a conservator to help with responsibilities and things like that. But the individual can cease that at any time. They can say, I don't want to have a conservatorship anymore. And in that case, it ends. We do have forms for power of attorney for healthcare and financial and decision-making in our office to help through the process and get that started as well. And then also touching on supported decision-making. That is just a support person. that can help you understand things. But that individual doesn't have to, you can give them advice, but they don't have to take that. It's just having an extra voice and things. Whereas guardianship, they're not competent to do that.
So medical assistance. Medical assistance has many, many names. Sometimes it's referred to as Medicaid or MA for short. Title 19, all are the same thing. They are, Badger Care is a form of Medicaid, MAP is a form of Medicaid, and sometimes it's referred to as forward card because the insurance card that you receive that is in fact medical assistance, Medicaid, all of those titles that we just went through, is on a white card that says Forward Health across the front of it. It doesn't actually say medical assistance, Medicaid, Title 19, any of those words anywhere on the card. It just says Forward Health. So those are all the same things. It is full insurance through the state of Wisconsin. It is something that either comes with your, if you are awarded disability through SSI, you would automatically receive the Medicaid. And if you do not, then you can also apply at the county level and receive Medicaid if you meet the financial criteria for the medical assistance. But that insurance provides coverage for your doctor's appointments, which include eyes, dental, hospital stays, prescriptions. It can help with transportation. So it would be a non-emergency medical transportation. So if they needed transportation to and from a doctor's appointment, that's something that can be covered. If someone's providing transportation to an individual that has full Medicaid, they can also set up to be reimbursed for that mileage through Medicaid. Other medical needs could be durable medical supplies, walkers, wheelchairs, leg braces, some toileting aids, things like that can be covered through Medicaid. And then personal care assistance, if somebody is in need of someone to help them with bathing or showering, that is something that can be covered. It requires a prescription and it requires them to be performed by an agent of a certified home health agency, a Medicaid or Medicare certified home health agency. So those are things that medical assistance can help to cover. Yeah.
So things to know about Social Security, disability, and SSI. So when you first initially start, the first point of contact is Social Security, especially when we are doing that online request to start benefits. And then Social Security is actually not the ones who make the decision on a claim. Once they get it, they'll review the DI portion or the work history or work credits. And then once they get it, they'll send it to the Disability Determination Bureau through Madison. And they have a team of experts that will be assigned to the case and review that and determine whether one is disabled or not. The process does take a long time, unfortunately. It can take up to a year or longer to get that determination. Two ways that someone can be awarded monetary benefit if they're found to be disabled and have that disability determination through the DDB is Social Security disability income. And that's based on work credits or work history. There's a calculation that Social Security will do. A lot of times our 18-year-olds do not qualify for this portion because they don't work or haven't worked. Unless, of course, they're receiving benefits from a parent through DAC, meaning disabled adult child. That's the only way someone would see a DI benefit off of someone else's record. The other one is SSI, and that is a needs-based program based on income and assets. And we see, I would say 98% of the time that that's what we see these younger individuals qualified for, because they no longer go off of their parents' record. It's just based on their own record. And they don't usually have an income. Medicaid is provided at the time of eligibility, although more times than not, they already have a form of Medicaid. So that will just change when they start Medicare. After the 25th month, if someone's receiving a DI payment, they start Medicare. So in that case, if you're receiving Medicare, you can no longer have Badger Care. In that case, we would switch you to another form of Medicaid, whether that be the MAP program or a DAC Medicaid. When dealing with SSI, everyone starts at the same amount. I think for 2022, it's around 900 to 950, I want to say. And there are things that affect SSI. So if an individual is working and receiving SSI, for every dollar they earn, or for every $2, excuse me, that they earn, $1 is deducted from their SSI. So that's something to keep in mind too. There's also SSIE, which is Supplemental Security Income Exceptional. It's additional state money added to the SSI payment every month. Some eligibility requirements for that is that they must have 40 hours of care needs that are in home, and that they share household expenses, or they live in a certified setting such as a CBRF, adult family or group home, a residential facility with 20 beds or less, foster homes, etc. And when looking at SSIE, the ADRC can help complete that application.
Path to publicly funded long-term care services. So long-term care services are programs that are specifically designed to set up needed support services for an individual with disabilities to be as independent as possible and living in the environment that they choose. So the list of things that they can help to provide is very broad, but it's services and supports that the individual needs. And so again, it's very individually based. To be eligible, they must meet a target group. So they must be an adult, age 17 years and 6 months or older, that has a physical disability, a developmental disability, or they have to be considered frail elder. They also have to need to have Medicaid and to be found functionally eligible. So again, it starts with a call to us, and through our options counseling, when we meet and talk about what those service needs are and goals are, we would determine whether or not the individual would be appropriate to be screened for programming. And it's just a basic assessment on their needs and we would do that face-to-face. That meets the functional, that along with medical information helps us to determine functional eligibility. And then there's financial eligibility. And then once those are obtained, the financial again is the Medicaid. And then we would look at enrollment options, looking at which program might be better in counseling those between the IRIS program or a managed care organization through a family care agency. We would look at what options would be better. IRIS is a self-directed plan, so you would be directing your supports, and then family care is managed care. So you would have individuals that would help you to look at what your support service needs are. So looking at which program would be best, again, IRIS is the more blue. You would like to be able to manage, or the individual would like to manage their own support services through self-direction, choosing those individuals that are providing the support services. They can do so through the IRIS program. Otherwise, there are family care agencies that would help if you would need more help in getting your service needs met.
We fully recognize that this is an overwhelming time, or can be an overwhelming time, with a lot of unknowns, with turning 18 and what does the future hold for myself or for my child. And so please don't hesitate to contact us. We can help in a multitude of ways. You know, you'll work with us directly if you stay within this county. Otherwise, there is a map to show you which county you would be in if you were to move. And there's also more information or materials on youth in transition on our Eagle Country website as well.
We also do have, if you see above the green box, we do have planning for the future. This PowerPoint was kind of taken out of the planning for the future booklet that we have, and it does kind of go through a lot of different topics that we talked about today a little bit more in depth. That whole process and kind of the idea of what the students' responsibilities are, what the role of the parent is. So if you have a need for that, you can definitely listen. We can get the results. Now it's questions at this time.
Fantastic. Thank you, Nickie and Tiara. And we do have a couple minutes available for questions. If anybody has any questions, I will get the slideshow out to you along with a resource sheet. Sorry that I was not on the ball tonight on the chat feature, but we will have a whole list of all the places that Nickie and Tiara talked about tonight, and I will get that out to you as well. But any questions at this time? Okay, seeing none, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Thank you for putting up with our little momentary glitch at the beginning as well. So apologies for that, but technology sometimes decides that it doesn't want to do what we want it to do. But we thank you all for that. Exactly. Yeah. As Nickie's trying to juggle a phone and a computer at the same time. But thank you all. And thank you, especially Julie and Shayna, for offering this to Juneau County Schools and Adams Friendship Schools and anybody else in between that wanted to join us, because they're really generous that way. So thanks for that, and hope to see you for our next Transition Talks Tuesday, which will be, oh my goodness, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be April 19th, 6 to 7 p.m. We're going to talk about healthcare and how healthcare changes too. And so I will be working on being the presenter that night. I'll try to get my act together by then. So hopefully we'll see y'all by April, see you on April 19th. Thank you all. Have a great night.
Thank you.